Okay, so we're going to be doing a study of the AM radio band and the noise that exists in that band, mostly computer type noise and hash and stuff like that. I'm going to do something very simple. I'm using a communications grade radio. There's no question this radio is in top shape. And we're just going to tune through the band, starting at the bottom, and work our way up, just stopping briefly at each channel to hear what's there, and keeping an eye, most importantly, on this meter, signal strength meter. So, okay, here we go. And I apologize, this is going to be a noisy video, but it shouldn't take long.
The whole, of course, Chinese only represents about 2% of the total population. 95% of that are Indonesian.
Verano, Inti Raimi, julio 21 y 22. No se lo pierda.
Okay, so the time of day I'm doing this is 10 to 8 in the evening. It's still quite bright outside. The sun hasn't set yet, it's not dark. So I could try this again a little later, but that's certainly interesting to me. I mean, I'm become fairly aware of just how much noise there is in the band from all the radio work I do. But actually go through the band from one end to the other and just pay attention to the noise and see how high the signal strength is much of the time. It really floors me. There were a few stations low down in the band, 590, 610, 640, 680. These are all very popular stations in my area that lots of people listen to, and they were all missing on this radio just because the noise was too much, much too much. But I did notice the higher end, there were more stations than I expected. So something a little bit different about the higher end from the lower end, and I don't know what that might be. And the radio is running on a loop antenna here, station like this. So if I were to rotate the radio and change the direction of the antenna, we might get, like for instance, those lower stations I mentioned, they might come in fact. So I think there's a rod antenna in there. You know, actually, I'm not actually sure. So, but it would be interesting to try this again in a different location. Okay, so I'm now out on the deck, and I'm going to repeat the test once again. Just see if I can just change the angle here a little bit. Very good. Here we go. I'll go a little quicker this time.
Buying forever. TrueCar helps.
Alaska RV Rentals has up to 25% off. CEO that had a lot of
jobs that I've had before because there's no room for
And up.
hang on.
Yeah.
He pushed. Just use it. Byron.
Round.
$1 million. Yes, sir.
look at it.
Couple hard.
Your drive.
That's how.
Okay, so that was a dramatically different result. And I think one of the things that's really interesting is for the powerful radio stations, as is the case with pretty much any AM radio, you can hear a powerful station on the channel next to it. So if you're going to listen to a very strong signal, let's say at 680, you can hear a little bit of huffing and chuffing at 670. And that was the case out here with this radio, just as I would expect. My big military radios are actually pretty much able to receive each individual channel, but not this one, not the satellite here. It's not quite that sharp, nor really should it be. It's not really necessary for this kind of listening. But the point is, that meant the sensitivity on the radio was turned up, which means the AVC or AVG, as you might call it, was allowing the radio to work with the sensitivity turned up, or I don't know how to put it exactly. Whereas when you're in a very noisy environment, the something like this right now, the AVC will turn the radio down, so to speak, so you'll still hear lots of noise, because that's what's causing it, the radio to do that, but you'll never hear any radio signals. They're lost in the noisy environment. So anyway, that's another test. Boy. Okay, now that the motorcycle's gone, let's try another test with just a run-of-the-mill radio. This one, there's nothing special about this radio. The tuning is up here, like this. Nothing digital about this, at least in terms of tuning. So let's just go through the band fairly quickly. Right at the bottom, 540 to start, 530.
The harsh one. People come back from the.
So that's more typical, of course, a non-communications grade radio, and its front end is more open, so to speak. And the result of that is just more noise, and more noise means all those same things happen. The radio turns down its own sensitivity, and you miss a bunch of radio signals. So I would imagine this radio is working just about the same as the little green one. If I brought the little green tube radio out here right now and tried it, you'd probably hear it just about the same as this one. Well, thanks a lot for watching these. I have another one or two in mind for AM testing. Okay, so here we go with another test of AM radio. This time I'm in my truck here, sitting in my driveway, not far from my deck or my shop or anything. And we're just going to go through this AM radio and see what it sounds like. This is a pretty expensive radio, this one, in this truck. So this may work a little better than some of the others. So there we go. We'll just zoom up through the band here.
Is there a... Actually, probably. The hospital issued for the last time. Choose inline for...
Now, they just, this station here, 640, on my deck with the other radios, not audible. But here I can hear it quite fine. This is one of the more popular local stations. Lots of people listen to this. So, we can already see the difference. It's another very popular station here. But, you know, I'll go back. You can still hear the noise in the background. So now that to me sounds like a clear channel. No real interference. Maybe a little bit there, but not much. There's interference. Here comes the station. Now that's local 770. See if I can get New York City here. That would be at 880. Okay, so 880 is New York City, and it's not coming in right now. But again, not much noise there, right? There's a little bit. Could be just I'm just that many more feet away.
Your kids will love it. Grandma will love it.
You won't, though.
The 2481 or stop by at 635 North Street.
So this radio is working fantastically compared to the others.
And with his wife's knowledge, he can't...
It's another popular station there. Another popular station. So, you know, this is kind of what you would expect your AM radio to do. One more here. Yep. So this is picking up all the known AM stations in the area. And by the way, I'm out here at about 9 o'clock in the morning. So let's go. We'll just zoom up to the higher end of the band here.
Well, as like that, but anyway.
So dramatically different on this radio. So what we'll do is, let's go back to this area here. Right there. Well, that just sounds like a bunch of stupid radio noise to me. Let's go driving. Okay, the car itself didn't add much noise. Let's see what happens as I back out of my driveway here. After I let my car warm up a little bit. There's a political sign on my lawn. Yeah, there's an election going on here. Okay, we're going to drive out of the subdivision, away from all this Wi-Fi stuff. Hopefully my camera doesn't fall over while I'm doing this. There's some parkland right over here. Oops. No, I didn't hit anything. I guess this is a whole new level of distracted driving here. Okay, so a nice park area coming up. Let's figure out how to stand this up securely. There we go. So the noise hasn't changed much, has it? I thought it would drop right off to nothing. Just hold this. I have to hold it. In the background is a nuclear power plant, by the way. We'll just pull into this park here. It's a favorite dog walking park. A little rough getting into it. We'll just stop here. There we are. Okay. So I turned off my engine. So really, that didn't change at all. And I'm a little bit surprised. So let's just tune back. Yeah, don't try to tune with the heater control here. Better try to tune the radio with the tuning control.
Decision. That's sure. There's these and rhubarb red raspberries.
And we'll shoot down to the bottom here, getting a pretty good impression of what's happened. Yeah, I live in Canada. People speak French here. Actually, in the area I live in, most people speak English and many, many, many different languages, including French. I don't live in a French part of Canada. Right down to the bottom here. Well, I don't hear any interference that resembles anything like what's in my house here. Let's go down by the nuclear plant. I'm actually on my way to a bicycle shop. But I might as well give you a tour here. Why not? And some ball diamonds and stuff like that. So this park is actually part of the exclusion zone around the nuclear plant, where no one can live, work, or whatever within a kilometer of the plant. That was the standard that was set way back when. So, okay, let's put the radio on.
Are we supposed to pretend that Toronto doesn't exist and just go, like, la 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 la, don't tell? Oh, there's five buyers? Okay, who are they? Oh, no, it's...
There we are. Spot between stations to listen to now. This is the old part of the nuclear plant right in front of us here. Those are heavy water separating towers. That's the training station for all the nuclear plants. That's a lady driving right on my tail. I don't know why. And I gotta look out the front while I show the camera out the side, so hoping you're seeing that. Okay, there she goes. The aggressive lady is gone. Okay. See some geese here and there around here. Not a heavily traveled road, so it's a little rough. Hey, what's causing that? There you are. Can you read the sign over there? Or how about the sign right here? And I gotta go.
$0.80 plus tax.
Sounds the very same. Well, I think the conclusion I can draw quite obviously is that all that noise and interference is local to my house or my neighbor's house, or all the houses in my neighborhood. More likely, everybody who's got computers, Wi-Fi, all this kind of stuff. So I get a short distance away, literally the end of my driveway. Things are improved. Now I'm using a radio which obviously works fairly well. This is a pretty good radio, because even sitting in my driveway, it picked up AM pretty good. But I'm pretty sure if I brought out the little yellow All-American 5 radio and tried it in exactly the same position, I would not get the kind of reception I got from this truck radio. This is a fairly expensive, fairly high-end radio. So I'm not surprised that it works better. So for me, it's off to the bicycle shop from here. So just down the road away. Okay, so here's the last part of our test. I'm just going to be driving back to my house. We're just going to turn up volume. What I picked here is I picked a fairly weak station at 950 on the dial. A fairly weak station, and we'll just see what happens to it as I pull back into my driveway.
One of their big guys
guys in the paint, so that's what's going to be able to be exploited. So that's what you do. Well, look, it's not that complicated. If you just look at the numbers, sometimes numbers lie, and sometimes they tell you the entirety of the story. And I think in this case,
this is my street here. There we go.
Ibaka shot blocked 12% of the Spurs attempts in the paint when he was on the court. So they shot 47% with him on the court. Last night they shot 72% in the paint in the absence of Ibaka. Now, can that also be attributed to them just having a particularly good night? Sure. That's not exclusively Ibaka, but that is a big part of it. And so while the absence of Westbrook is a lot more obvious, probably to all basketball fans because he's a superstar and he scores a lot of points, the absence of Ibaka, I think, is almost as damaging. And to me, I don't know. Oklahoma City was going to win this series, and I think they don't. Yeah, I picked San Antonio.
Well, it's particularly loud right here.
But Oklahoma City absolutely could have. We'll see who steps up. You know, Durant and Westbrook are going to both score at least in the 20s or have to, possibly the 30s. And for Durant,
let's try a couple different.
9 a.m. I always look forward to that conversation.
Well, it's still working fairly well. It's pretty clear as I pulled into the driveway, some noise showed up. Because I was already listening to something and because this radio is working fairly well, it wasn't very dramatic. I know in my car is sitting right there, it's a little more dramatic. As you pull in, often what I'm listening to just gets drowned out. Maybe because I parked the car a little closer to the house too, because I think what we're looking at here is a pretty short range interference. I'm pretty sure it's coming from routers, and why exactly they're blasting away in the AM band I'm not exactly sure, because routers are broadcasting way up in microwave band, aren't they? So why there would be so much interference from them, I'm not sure. Or is it from something else? But I think it's pretty ubiquitous all over the place, inside any location that's running computer stuff, so no surprises here, I don't think. Anyway, I'll have to think of the next experiment to try. And I have to go back to the bike shop because guess what? They weren't open. They don't open till 10 o'clock. So I got there an hour ahead. So that's it for now. Thanks again for watching.